Today's video is sponsored by Rocket Money.
What shifts?
Welcome back to Outdoors with the Morgans. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about today. But first off, it is Christmas Day, and it's 55 degrees. Now, last year, over Christmas, it was real cold. I think like 5 degrees, maybe even right around 0, but not this year. You may be wondering what I'm doing down here at the wood yard on Christmas Day, but we had all our family activities this morning, and it is late afternoon right now, and I think most of them are kind of settling in for a nap right now. So I'm down here at the wood yard, and we're going to run some wood through the Rex 600 processor. Now we have a hopper full of wood here, mix of cherry, red oak, and maple. Probably close to a quart of wood in there, maybe just under a quart of wood. But we're going to run this thing and just kind of ease into it, but we'll see how long it takes. Now, just the other day, I published the first video on this machine, and at the end of that video, I said if you have any questions or comments, let me know, and we will address them in the next video. So here we are. Now, there's a lot of comments about the distance between the wedges here on this side. It looks to be about 5.5 inches, give or take, which seems to be producing wood that's between like 4 3/4 and 5.5 inches. Now that's how wide it's going to be between those two wedges there. However, you can control the thickness of it by how far you push the round ahead each time. So they don't have to be square like this. They could be 4.5 or 5 inches wide by 2 inches if you wanted, or whatever you wanted. Now, there were tons of comments saying that on this side of the wedge, you should have lines painted where those wedges are on the other side. Well, you don't need that, because if you can see right here, 1, 2, 3, these are like bolts or rivets or something on here, little bumps, but you can clearly see from this side where your wedges are on the other side. The max opening is 18 inches. That's as high as this wedge goes. They must cut their firewood in Australia the same length as I do, 16 inches. So you have an 18-inch opening. Now, when I'm editing a video, it takes some time to put it all together, but you're watching each clip and you're making sure, trying to do your best that everything flows right. But you see pretty much everything in the video. I miss a few things here and there, but I always know when I'm editing what some of the comments are going to be. Like if I have a tire on something that's a little bit low, I know there will be a lot of comments on that tire. Whenever I had the LX 150 Sawmill, the hose for the blade lube would sometimes drag on a log. And I would see that when I was editing, and I knew there would be a bunch of comments about the hose dragging on the log. And I could go on, but I kind of have an idea most times what a lot of the comments were going to be. The first video on this was a shocker. It really was. I didn't see it coming. There's a lot of comments. Yeah, I didn't expect them. For example, a lot of people, I mean 20, 25 of them, said the wedges should be on this side instead of that side. That would not work at all. Not a good idea for a couple reasons. Let me show you why. I've got this little cherry around here. It's about 13, 14 inches. But the way this works is the wedge comes down. The way I have it lined up right now, 2 pieces are going to fall into the hopper or into the conveyor. Once it retracts, push it ahead a little bit more, you're going to get 2 more pieces fall into the conveyor. If you had the wedges on this side, that just wouldn't work at all. You'd have to start out there, drop 2 pieces here in front of you, and you still have wood behind you, so you'd have to get rid of these somehow and reach out and pull it back. It's a lot easier to push than it is to pull. It just would not work at all having wedges on this side. Along with the fact that sometimes they'll pop out of those wedges. You know, if it goes down, splits it, and they're stuck in the wedge, they'll stay there till you split the next piece, and then it'll fall down into the conveyor. So you definitely don't want wedges only on this side, and you don't want them on both sides. Not at all. Now, if all firewood was exactly the same diameter, you could probably have wedges on both sides, but everything would have to be the same diameter. It would come down once, and then you'd push everything into the conveyor, I guess. I don't know, but regardless, my opinion, it would be a horrible idea to have wedges on this side. Just wouldn't work. That's not the way this thing was designed.
December, and you know what that means. It's a great time of year to spend time with family and friends and reminisce. And you know what else it's a good time for? To hemorrhage money if you're not careful. Speaking of hemorrhaging money, I recently discovered that I have 2 subscription services that I pay for monthly that I haven't used in over a year and a half. And personally, I would rather spend a few hours at the dentist than try to cancel these subscriptions. Well, today's sponsor, Rocket Money, is here to help. Rocket Money is the app you need to save more and manage your money better. Rocket Money is the personal finance app that helps you cancel subscriptions, lower bills, and manage your money better. 2 things that I'm already using Rocket Money for is this, and that is to cancel unwanted subscriptions. They do it safely and securely, identifying reoccurring charges, and cancels unwanted subscriptions for you. You can even cancel from within the app with just a couple taps. No need to worry about customer service calls. Rocket Money has helped save its customers an average of $720 a year with over $500 million in canceled subscriptions. The other thing I love using Rocket Money for is setting budgets. You can analyze your spending habits to create a custom budget that works with your lifestyle, automatically monitoring your spending by category and get notifications when you exceed your limits. Go to rocketmoney.com/outdoorswiththemorgans. Or click the link in the description to get started for free. You can also unlock even more features with premium.
jets.
So I think this splitter is rated at 26 tons. That's red oak right there, just cut in half. More like 126 tons, I don't know. But when you see a log splitter at a big box store that says like 37 ton splitter, there is no way that, I don't think it could do that. That's unbelievable. Red oak. It's not some West Coast wood. That's red oak. So something else I learned, this is the second time I ran this machine, but to engage the wedge, you have to have both hands on here for safety, and you push it down and the wedge goes down. Well, the first time I was running it, I didn't even realize it has an auto return. So in other words, I had it down, I'd go all the way down, and then I'd hold it up. You don't have to do that. You can just go like that. I'll show you. So I was doing this, down. You know, I got her idled down now. And I get to the bottom, then I bring it up. You don't have to do that. You can just go down. Then it has an auto return. So I think this hopper is rated at holding one full cord. And at the beginning of this video, I said I had about a cord in there. I'm thinking it's a little bit less because it only took me 23 minutes to split all that firewood. And I stopped several times to like move cameras around and stuff. All right, we're going to read through some of the questions and comments from the last video. Like I said, normally I have a pretty good feel for any given video on what the comments are going to be. A lot of these came out of nowhere. This guy said they should paint lines where the splitter blades are. We went over that. There's bolts or rivets there. You can line it up and see that. One thing I would be concerned about, you don't get a second chance to check the size of the split wood. If you push the round a little too far, you can get pieces bigger than you want. Yeah, that's true. You could. I have noticed though, just running this for the second time, I'm getting better at knowing how far to push the wood forward for the next split. And this is a production machine. You know what I mean? This isn't for, I wouldn't recommend this if you were just like splitting bundle firewood and you were super particular about sizing each piece of wood. This is a production machine made to knock out a lot of firewood in a hurry. Just like a full-blown $150,000 processor, you don't have the opportunity to resplit wood because, hey, that piece was too big or whatever. That's not what this machine is for. For a firewood processor, it seems a little counterintuitive to have to load it with cut rounds. Seems more like a glorified log splitter. Nice machine, though. I did split almost a cord of wood in 23 minutes, and I wasn't even hurrying. And like I said, moving cameras around and things like that. Where I see this is a huge, huge benefit is, I think there's a lot of people out there that probably process firewood kind of the same way we do. And what I mean is, you know, we have 100 acres of trees here, and there's wood laying on the ground everywhere. I'm doing a little clearing out in the woods. And so what you do is you cut the firewood out there, put it in the firewood bucket, and with this machine, you bring it right up here, dump it in the hopper, and you don't have to dump it on the ground or even lift it out of the bucket onto the, you know, splitter or roll it onto a log lift or anything like that. So for that type of person, that has a machine to load it and you already have wood in the bucket of something, this is the bee's knees right here. This guy here, he's a real jackwagon here. He says, step out of the Stone Age and get a real processor. Your Wolfe Ridge is not efficient at all, nor is this Australian blah, 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 even if it had a log cutter. Here's the thing. I think people get like, I don't know what they think, or if they get like tunnel vision or something. They'll watch a video and see a $150,000 firewood processor and think that you can just run all your wood through that and everything will be fine and dandy, and that's the only way to go. They're fantastic machines. They really are. You can knock out some firewood in a hurry, but let's take us for example. In the last year, I think I bought 5 log truck loads of firewood poles, and we probably cut and split almost that much wood from the property. So all the wood from the property, for example, out there at the clearing, I probably have a load and a half or 2 loads of firewood poles out there. How do you get the poles in here if you had a processor? 24 or 30 foot poles, you can't. I got a little road going back there, but you can't get 24 or 30 foot long poles back here without cutting them up, at least at this point. If I had, you know, a stone road going back there, yeah, you could send a log truck back, load them up, bring them over here to a processor. But the problem is, like over at the orchard, over at the old apple orchard where the windstorm went through, I've got, I don't know, 10 cord of wood laying on the ground over there. That's not wood for a processor because it has to be cut out there and brought in here. And like I said, with a firewood bucket, something like that, you cut it up, bring it over here, dump it right in, split it up. The other thing is, out of the 4 or 5 loads of log truck poles that I bought, I would say, this is just a guess, but I'm guessing you probably could have run 2/3 of that through a firewood processor. The rest would have to go through the Wolfe Ridge because it was either too crooked and gnarly or too big. You know what I mean? I had a lot of guys talking about those, is it the Yappa processor? They seem like a nice little machine, but you know, I think the max diameter on the one I saw was 14 inches. Another one I think was 16 inches. Some of this wood that I just ran through here, I measured it, was 20 inches. So you couldn't run that through that machine, you know? So what I'm saying is everybody has different needs, but out of all the wood that we went through last year, this is just a wild guess. I would say somewhere, maybe a little over 1/3 of it, we could have just ran through a processor, meaning it was delivered here down to the yard and it was straight enough, the right size diameter that you could run through a processor. Now, at some point, maybe we'll really up our game and, you know, get 10, 15, 50 log truck loads of poles in here to cut firewood. You definitely need a regular full-blown processor. But that's the other thing. They're getting harder and harder to come by around here. The housing developments are slowing down. The oil and gas work, we used to get a lot of firewood poles from pipeline work. That has slowed way down. All the well pads are in. All the pipelines are in. My battery died there, so I'm not sure where it cut out. But I would have to say last year, out of all the firewood that we processed, probably 1/3 of it, let's say even half of it, I don't think it was that much, but let's say even half of it, you could have ran through a processor. The rest would either have been too big or too gnarly, crooked kind of stuff like that. It wouldn't work real well. But yeah, everybody has different needs and different applications. And like I said before, if everybody did things the same way, had the same supply of wood, all the wood was the same diameter, there'd just be one kind of log splitter out there. Why would there be another one? You know what I mean? We'd figure out which one was best and everyone would use the same one. But so far, I really like this thing. I do. I think it's, and like I said, the guys in the comments that have used them or are from Australia speak very, very highly of these. I think it's just kind of a new thing, and it kind of, new for us here in the States, and it caught some people off guard. But like I said, 23 minutes. We could send, you know, I could send Levi. I could cut and cut out there in the woods and just send him out with the skid loader and the firewood bucket. And I bet you I could split a hopper full before he gets back with the next bucket. Yeah, that'd be a good way to do it, actually. But yeah, so far, so good. I think I answered some of the questions. Let's go over some things real quick, though. So I think I about went over everything that I wanted to cover. You don't need lines on here because you've got these. Definitely do not want wedges on this side. It'd be a horrible idea. You get stuff flying at you. It just wouldn't work. We went over that earlier. It's got auto return. I didn't know that the other day, but it does. This controls the conveyor on and off. This is the walking floor in the hopper, conveyor, and a beautiful, beautiful fuel tank. Look at that thing. But anyway, I think that's about it for today's video. I appreciate y'all being here, and I will catch you on the next one.